In today's video, I'm gonna show you the best ETF there is for dividend investing, and that is the Schwab US Dividend ETF, ticker symbol SCHD. When you're buying ETFs, then there is a lot of different ETFs to choose from. You can basically find an ETF that covers the entire world, or you can find another ETF that only covers the US, and you can find a third ETF that covers a specific sector. However, this ETF is purely focused on dividend-paying companies, and it is the perfect ETF for any dividend investor. With an awesome dividend yield, substantial dividend growth, and a market-dominating share price return, SCHD is the best and the top ETF on the market, and it serves as a fantastic foundation for any investor's portfolio, especially if you're looking for a more hands-off approach that allows you to lean back while money is rolling into your bank account. Holding this ETF has proven to be a good investment without you ever having to lift a finger, which I will talk much more about later in the video. However, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you, like me, are really into personal finance and investing, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more weekly content. I'm personally a big fan of having large proportions of well-diversified ETFs in my investment portfolio, just like the VOO or the SCHD. And the reason is that these are highly automated. They will continue to grow and continue to pay me huge dividends without me having to do any work. After having looked at many different dividend-paying ETFs, I basically decided that SCHD was where I wanted to place the majority of my dividend portfolio, and there are several different reasons for that. One of them being that I really like the strategy of SCHD, and there is a few things that this ETF here is focusing on. And one of them is that it tracks an index that is focused on the quality and the sustainability of dividends. And that is exactly what we as dividend investors like, both quality and sustainability. Next, this ETF invests in stocks selected for fundamental strength relative to their peers based on financial ratios. I really like this because when looking for dividend stocks, it is very easy to get carried away by the high dividend yield. But in order for companies to pay these dividend yields, then they have to be financially stable. Otherwise, you'll end up investing in a so-called yield trap. So SCHD is only buying the top quality dividend-paying companies. And for us investors to get consistent returns, then that is exactly what we need. When looking at the top holdings for SCHD, we do also find high quality companies like Merk, PepsiCo, Coca Cola, Verizon, and many others. And when looking at the list, you guys basically get the idea. You can rest easily without being too worried about your investment, with your investment being placed in 103 different rock-solid companies. Some people are saying that one of the downfalls of SCHD is the amount of companies, and that they would prefer ETFs with a higher amount of companies. However, in my opinion, then as long as the companies are higher quality and they are very consistent in paying their dividends, then I don't really care. I prefer quality over quantity, and 103 different stocks is more than enough to give you a really good diversification. When looking at the performance of SCHD, then it has over the last year given a negative return of -2%. But let's just be real here, because the stock market has not been great during the last year. So this return here is somewhat expected. When looking at the 5-year return, then we see SCHD being up by 49%, and that is pretty good. And when we compare that to the return of the S&P500 Index, then we actually see that SCHD has outperformed the S&P 500 Index over the last 5 years. And over the last 10 years, SCHD has given a return of 142%, which again is very solid. So the returns are definitely good in this ETF here. Now, if we compare the return of SCHD with some other ETFs such as VTI, VOO, VYM, and DGRO, then we see that SCHD within the last year is very close to being the top performer, only beaten by VYM. And when looking at the 5-year return, we see that SCHD has outperformed all of them. The only one that is really close is the VOO, and that one represents the S&P 500 Index. So when we are comparing the performance of SCHD to the broad market and some of their closest competitors, it becomes very clear that finding a better ETF might be really hard. And we haven't even gotten to the best part yet, and that is their dividends. When looking at the dividend statistics for SCHD, you can see that it looks really nice. It has a dividend yield of 3.39% and a very high 5-year growth rate of 13.74%. And that is extremely good for an ETF. The dividend growth is also really good, and the ETF has been increasing their dividends for the last 10 years in a row. And when comparing to the other ETFs, we see that SCHD has outperformed all of them during the last year, and not one of them has a performance that is even close to SCHD. And when looking at the 5-year period, we get the same result. SCHD is simply just outperforming everyone when it comes to dividends. The 5-year growth yield of 27% is far above what any of the others has. And you can basically see how SCHD has slowly outperformed VYM, who hasn't been able to keep up with the extremely high dividend growth of SCHD. So having compared SCHD both in relation to the performance and the dividends, it becomes evident that beating SCHD is really hard. It has both beaten the S&P 500 Index over the last 5 years, and it has also beaten some of the top paying dividend ETFs, and that is very, very impressive. Not only is the performance and the dividend payments top quality, but the ETF also has 103 different stocks in their portfolio. And the overall goal of this ETF, with finding the right companies with consistent dividend payments and strong financials, make this ETF perfect for any dividend investor. That was all I had in today's video. If you actually liked today's video, then don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel for more weekly content.